Hi, Kirsty, and welcome to It's Time, which is a conversation with interesting people like you about how owning our time in the context of work, if we get it right, can really make a difference to helping ourselves and others do useful, purposeful, meaningful work. And talking to people in this COVID time, it's been really interesting to see that that's emerged as the most important thing for people, almost over and above earning money, is to do useful, purposeful work when everything around us is uncertain and worrying. So for those people who are listening to this, Kirsty McLaren is the co-director and owner of McLaren and Associates. And I met you, Kirsty, through your dad because he recruited me to my very first chief executive role, and I have followed your progress off the back of his work and been particularly interested and impressed to see those multiple awards that you get for running a boutique recruitment and HR consultancy firm that really specialises in giving people a personalised experience, and that's just not the people who are looking for employees, but those people who are going through that process. So all credit to you and your small team. And also, I'm really interested in talking to you because not only do you run your own business, but you also are married with 2 small children and a large dog and 2 cats, and a husband who is an essential worker, which is a new term for us now, isn't it? Essential workers. So to get you underway in that context, in terms of thinking about time as well, how has it been for you in the last 5 weeks? Where have you been and how has it been?
Yeah. Well, I think firstly, the thing that I didn't expect would be the fact that we were actually going to spend lockdown up in Kinloch, Lake Taupo. So I woke up on the day of lockdown, so the Wednesday morning, and my husband works for the police, so he had already gone off to work, and I woke up to a text from him saying, hey, I actually think you should head up to see your parents in Taupo and spend lockdown up there. So that wasn't something that we'd discussed before then, and I wasn't expecting it, but it actually made a lot of sense because, as you say, my husband Gary had to keep working, and he works shifts, so that includes night times and 6 days on, 4 days off. And my parents were up here at their batch in Kinloch, and it just made a lot of sense for me to bring the 2 kids, age 4 and 7, up here so that I could continue to have that support, so that I could keep working. And also our son Harvey, who's 7, he has asthma, so there was quite a risk that Gary might, potentially bring something home and put him at risk. So we raced up here on the day of lockdown and have been here for 5 weeks, and miss my husband, of course, and do feel really sad for him at home on his own. But it has made an awful lot of sense, and it's been really good up here. Actually, we've got the lake on one side, we've got a 5k walk on the other in the bush. It's really quiet, there's hardly anyone around, so we get out with the kids and they bike around, and it's been good. But we're actually going to head home on Friday under level 3. If you've isolated in the wrong place, you can head home. Right. So we're going to do that and get used to life as the new normal. So
it is what people are saying, aren't they? Kind of the new normal, the new old. What, aside from the fact that you found yourself surprised in the end to be in Kinloch, what most surprised you about the 5 weeks in lockdown, either personally or from a business perspective, that you didn't expect?
That I didn't expect. I think I have adapted pretty quickly, and that probably surprised me. I think I've had the ability to work from home ever since I had my son 7 years ago, so I've been quite used to working remotely and using all the tools and technology to to my advantage. So probably how quickly I adapted surprised me. And if I'm honest, I somewhat can't remember what life was like before.
In what way?
It just feels like it was a lifetime ago. I'm so used to now just, sitting at my desk on my own. But I am an extrovert, so I do really miss the buzz of people around. But I've got my kids and my parents here that sort of make up for that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. And so if you were going to go into lockdown again, what advice would you give yourself?
I think the key thing I would say to myself would be, you can't be superhuman. You have to lower your expectations and be flexible. I'm a really structured person, so I have struggled with that actually, particularly with the kids around. I get really focused on what I'm doing, and inevitably they'll come and interrupt and make demands of me. So getting used to that and lowering your expectations, focusing on the things that you can control and letting go of the things that you can't. My daughter has spent an awful lot of time on YouTube, which I don't usually let her.
Yes.
But it's a case of you've got to do what you've got to do to get things done. And so I think that's really important. And it's also so important to keep connected with your colleagues. We have a morning Zoom meeting every morning just to touch base. I talk with my friends and FaceTime with them all the time, have had some virtual drinks. Really important to keep up that connection. And just take every opportunity that you can to breathe and just be in the moment and exercise and get fresh air, and we just really take care of yourself, be kind to yourself and to others. It's a change for everyone.
And if you think about because as you say, you're quite disciplined and very organised, if you think about all of the things that you brought into lockdown, the way that you work, and the way that you're working now, what might you leave behind on the way out?
I think the biggest thing that I would love to leave behind, and it will be a challenge, is the constant rush and always having somewhere to be. With the slightly slower pace, I've really enjoyed being in the moment and being present, and I'd really like to see that continue. I'm not sure what the magic trick is to make that happen. But
you got a sense of what the obstacle would be to prevent, to stop you from being able to live in the moment and slow down a bit?
It's a catch-22, particularly in business, and as a business owner, we want to be busy. We want to ensure that all that activity is happening, and we're meeting milestones and those sorts of things. And personally, we've got places to be with the kids. We've got swimming lessons and sports activities, and I have a few things that I do myself. I have a singing lesson each week and try to get to the gym and all those sorts of things. So I don't know the answer to that just yet.
How did your employees and your business partner, how did they go?
Yeah, everyone has transitioned really well, I think. A number of them have worked from home before, some haven't, and I talked to her about how she's found that transition, and she said for her it was really important to set up a really clear working space, so that each morning she could transition into that work mode. Yes. And just ensuring that you are getting ready for work in the way that you would before, that your attire is, you're still, taking care of yourself and, doing your hair and your makeup and feeling good about yourself. What I have found from talking to my workmates as well as clients and candidates is that people are having a bit of a tough time trying to put those boundaries around working. Someone said to me, it's called working from home, but I feel like I'm living at work. So creating those boundaries, because I've spoken with lots of people who've found that they're working longer hours, or they're working in the evenings when ordinarily they wouldn't. My colleague's husband, for example, he found an old cardboard box, and at the end of each day he now puts his laptop, his work phone and anything work related in that box, and he puts that box away until the next day.
That is such a good idea. So you're not looking at it every time that is such a really useful idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you been able, you've got a separate place where you've been able to go to work?
I do. So at my home in Wellington, I've got this beautiful study all set up, and I was quite excited about working there. And then obviously the switch happened to come up to Kinloch. I'm now set up on a card table in between two single beds in my parents' spare bedroom. But it is a dedicated space, and I found that I can, at the end of the day, I get up and I sort of shut the door on this room, and the living space is separate from here, so I don't actually have to see, come past and feel drawn into the room in the evening. So I have actually found that I've been working less in the evenings when ordinarily I do a fair amount, because my study at home is quite visible, and I just sort of find myself drawn in there a little bit.
Yes.
So that's another thing that I wouldn't mind letting go as we emerge from this, is working into the small hours.
Yes. Do you envisage seeing more of your people working from home, or having a mixed model of working, or do you envisage them coming back and working kind of face to face? How do you see that rolling out?
Yeah, and that's a really interesting question, because I've been reflecting on that as I've been thinking and talking to clients and candidates about what their workplaces are going to be doing. And at this stage, I don't think anyone has a crystal ball, but I think, many organisations are finding that their employees are just as effective working from home. So I think we will start to see people questioning whether there is the need to have people in the office 9 to 5. And I think people have different hours in which they're productive. Like, for example, I'm not really a morning person. And I think with people not having to be in a physical location from 9 to 5 every day, and having more control over owning their time, they can be productive and working at their highest potential. And employers and businesses are going to benefit from that. So I think this period of time will be a lesson, and something to watch and reflect on as we do come out of it, to see whether that is going to be possible going forward. And for lots of businesses it will be. I think for our business, as much as we have been able to continue to operate and make use of technology, and continue to interview and meet with clients and candidates like this, and technology is great, it still doesn't replace that person-to-person contact. So I think that's definitely always going to be at the heart of our business, and I think that adds a lot of value and importance to our processes, and ensuring that we put the right people in the right positions, and get that ultimate result for clients and candidates. So I think there will be room for some flexibility.
What is it? It's a really interesting thing, isn't it? This face-to-face versus virtual engagement, because if you think about the virtual engagement and how we manage time, it's much more time efficient, as long as the technology works. Everyone arrives on time, it all works. And yet before we came in, most of us would have thought that if we had a choice, it would always be face to face. So in your recruitment life, what is this is probably unrelated to time, but I'm interested, what is it about face to face that you can't get virtually that people would be interested to know about?
I think it comes down to that being able to read those non-verbal cues, and you can certainly get some sense of that, being face-to-face via Zoom, for example. But I think there's just something that you really get when you're in a room with someone and you're interviewing them, or you're talking to them about, what they're looking for in a role, and you can sort of see that animation, and I guess it's more 3D.
Nice
and really,
Yep,
yeah,
that's a really nice way to put it. Yeah.
yeah.
If you were to think about one thing that you think would make the biggest difference to, say, your organisation, creating a environment that you can build on this experience with, that would make it, everyone in your organisation doing their best work in the best way that they want to be able to do it, and supporting your business and those people that you provide services to, would there be one thing that springs to mind that you might change?
I think it would be really important for us as a team to have that discussion. We're really collaborative as a team, and as we've sort of touched on, everyone is an individual and has their own pockets of productivity, and they know themselves well. I think it would be a collaborative brainstorm with the team to really determine what's going to be the best way to do that. Yes. And to get the best out of everyone while still delivering on our service to clients and candidates.
And no obstacles for that happening when we all lurch into our busy? Hopefully not lurch into our busy.
Well, I think typically we just have a Monday morning meeting, and as I said before, we've been having one every day through lockdown, and I think something like that might be a good way of doing things going forward. Just a really quick touch point. Obviously we see each other in the morning as we come in, and we say good morning, how are you, etc. But then, as you say, you sort of sit down at your desk and just get into it.
Away. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So perhaps that little touch point in the morning with the team might be a good idea to continue. And yeah, it's been quite interesting to hear what everyone's working on and what their pain points are, and continuing to have the group that you can bounce ideas off. So, we do that obviously throughout the day as you overhear people's conversations and what they're up to. But I think just that little touch point in the morning has been really productive.
So from what I know about you, you're highly productive. You've got good systems and processes in places, and you need to be, because you've got a busy job. What would be the top 3 things or top 3 pieces of advice that you would give to business owners in your circumstance to maintain a sense of balance between work and home and family?
The top one, and I certainly haven't mastered this myself yet, would be to prioritise sleep. We spend all day working, and once you finally got the kids to bed, you have that pocket of me time, and I am still trying hard to master that, because you sit down, you start watching Netflix, and you get to say 10 o'clock, and the choice is, do I go to bed or do I watch another one? Inevitably I choose I'll watch another one. And then I finally get into bed and think, I haven't checked my emails in a while, or what have you. I haven't read the news this evening, so start flicking through your phone, and then it's 11:30 midnight. So really prioritizing sleep. I have been making up for that in the morning. As you say, we're not doing the commute, so I'm getting an extra hour's sleep in the morning, but I really need to counter that with more an earlier night.
Yes.
So that's important. I think continuing to keep connected with your team is really important. As I say, we've got that meeting in the morning, but we're also constantly emailing throughout the day. We're messaging through Microsoft Teams. We're talking to each other on the phone. So I think that's really important. And I think we might see a renewed focus on outcomes instead of controlling employees' time. Controlling might not be the right word. I think having that slightly less level of control over that, we can't physically see our team all day. We don't know what they're doing, and you have to have that really high level of trust, and focus on outcomes.
Yes, two themes are emerging. One is prioritising and the other one is outcomes. And I'm really interested to, the outcomes is interesting, isn't it? Because if you're not been used to setting outcomes and you've been used to monitoring outputs, which is kind of sort of almost similar as, well, if your bottom's on the chair at 8 o'clock and in the morning and you're still there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then you must be doing lots of outputs and so you must be productive, which we know is not true.
Yeah.
What might change for you? How confident are you at recreating outcomes versus outputs, and what might you do differently in order to get that in place so others understand it?
I think we're really fortunate in that we have created a real environment of autonomy and responsibility. We are a team, but we're also a team of adults, and my business partner Nikki and I are consultants, so we're actively working in the business as well as on it. So we have to have that really high level of trust with our people, and we're really fortunate that they are really self-motivated. So I think, speaking for our business, we are pretty outcomes focused. Everyone understands the level of service that we commit to our clients and manage their own responsibilities within that. So I think we're really fortunate that we've pretty much got that, I wouldn't say nailed, but done well already.
Cool. So if you're people who are listening to you chatting now who've never really thought about outcomes based ways of working or productivity, what one piece of advice would you give them if they were changing to working that way?
I think communication is really key, ensuring that you have regular communication with your people, brainstorm together, 2 brains, 3 brains, however many is better than one. So it's about that collaboration and communication and ensuring that you're all on the same page, and just that regular checking in.
Well, listen, thank you so much for freeing up your time, and travel safely back home with those precious children of yours, and back to see your husband, who will be desperate to see you, I know, because working in isolation on his own won't have been very much fun at all. And all the best as you transition out, and I know that we'll be in touch again, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the time, Julie. Really appreciate it.
See you later.